No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mindell, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets victorious for a third straight game. Tonight, their victory comes in Motor City, Michigan, also known as Detroit Rock City, defeating the previously on Fuego Detroit Red Wings by a 4-1 margin. The Jets get the mini two-game road trip off to a good start, winning their third in a row, winning their second consecutive road game. This one, a impressive effort, 4-1 against the Detroit Red Wings team that had come into this game, gentlemen, as the leading goals for team in the NHL. Tonight, a Winnipeg Jets team not known for their defensive prowess were able to shut them down. Good to see you both on this Thursday evening. How are you fine gentlemen doing?
I think we're doing well, and more importantly, Jets fans are doing well after that big win. And yeah, Drew, it's only been 6 or 7 games, but you're right. I mean, the Red Wings are off to a hot start, especially offensively, right? That power play is at what, 42%, or at least was that plus 40+%, right? They had the best power play in the league, I believe, heading into this game. And that top line with Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, and Lucas Raymond was one of the top lines in the league in terms of offense. And obviously, you know, they did get the one goal, but for the most part, guys, like the shots were 19-8 for the Red Wings in the third period, but a lot of those shots were from the outside, right? And like how many, like I'd have to check natural stat trick for the high danger chances.
8-7 over the course of the game. So certainly not you know, in terms of high danger chances,
5 in that third period, right? I think is what I just saw, right? 8-7, you're right, overall.
5-2 in the 5-2 in the third period. Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of those shots were from the perimeter, as I just mentioned, and Hellebuck was excellent, right? He made 2 really good saves on Lucas Raymond in tight in that third period. And you know, Ehlers gets his first of the year. Obviously, it's an empty netter, but Niederreiter gets on the board. Kyle Connor gets the winning goal in his home state, right? So, I mean, yeah, like it wasn't a perfect game, but, you know, you'd probably give the Jets, if you're not giving them an A, Dave, in that game, you're giving them a high B+ for that effort tonight.
Yeah, look, there's no question about it. Detroit is a very good hockey team. I mean, folks have forgotten the fact that, you know, they've worked for years to rebuild that organization up from a Stanley Cup champion. And then obviously a team that didn't, after making this playoffs for 25 straight years, a team that stopped making the playoffs consistently. And now you've got a team that is on the bounce back. And Ezzy and I talked about it. They're on
the up and up for sure.
Yeah, they have to do something about their goaltending for sure. But I mean, again, you're not going to be able to solve all your problems. And they've got a lot of talent, especially when you bring in Alex DeBrincat and what he's been able to do. He was a game time decision, of course, because he was under the weather, according to Answer Khan of Answer Khan's with who again?
MLive, I think.
MLive.com. Yeah. So
that's a name that we used to have Answer on back in the TSN 1290 days.
That's right. So he's
a regular,
a long-time Red Wings beat writer. So he had reported yesterday that it was a game time decision. And look, he's been phenomenal in his play for the Red Wings, and Dylan Larkin. You got to give these guys a lot of credit. It's a good young team, and it's an exciting young team, lots of talent. And I thought the Jets played, you know, a very good first period, which is what they wanted to do on the road in a place that Detroit hasn't lost a single game in regulation at home till tonight. And so you thought the Jets had to come out and have a good first period. They did. And then, of course, as touched on, they really got things going in that middle frame. And then eventually Detroit started to get their legs going. But those, you know, it was an interesting answer by Kyle Connor in the intermission to Dan Robertson, asking about, you know, if those early power plays can take you out of your rhythm, and just the way he felt like, no. And I actually thought that the Jets were really good, even though they didn't score on their power play opportunities, 2 early ones, Ezzy, your least favorite penalty, the puck over the glass one, delay a game. But like, to me, it was the way they moved the puck. They were very efficient. They were very quick. There wasn't a lot of pausing and thinking. This team was just reacting. And I thought it was really good. And even though, like I said, they didn't score, you kind of got an overall sense that the Jets were zoned in and ready to go from puck drop tonight.
Yeah, what I thought, the word that I was sort of trying to sum up the Jets game with tonight, and the one I sort of landed on in the prelude to this postgame show beginning, is intelligent. I thought the Jets played an intelligent hockey game. They weren't always. There were certainly instances where they were hemmed in, and there were instances where the Red Wings were the better of the two teams. But by and large, the Jets didn't make any of the errors that they had made, in some of the earlier games this season. Granted, we're only 7 games in, so it's not that many games. But where the Jets were shooting themselves in the foot, and maybe they were making some unintelligent plays that would end up costing them or end up with the puck behind their net. Tonight, I don't remember any glaring mistakes. Certainly times where the Red Wings took the play to them. That happens over the course of a game. That's the ebb and flow of a hockey game. There's definitely going to be instances where that occurs. But they were, for the most part, on the right side of where they need to be in terms of defensive coverage. They made smart plays. They, by and large, it was just an intelligent, good road game for the Jets from my perspective.
Yeah, I think you're right, Drew. I think you nailed it there. If that's going to be our word of the night, I have no problem with that. And, Scott Arniel mentioned this in his pregame scrum, his pregame presser, whatever you want to call it. The importance, we talked about the power play, the importance of being disciplined. How many penalties did the Jets take? 2. They only took 2, right? So that's what you want to see. You don't want to get, like, to Drew's point, there were no egregious errors, and you also didn't take any penalties in the third period to give them an opportunity to give back in the game, right? And
well, they did the Morrissey penalty, but later in the period after that, yeah,
sure,
you're right.
One penalty. I think they'll take that. 1 penalty is not that bad.
Yeah.
And 2 penalties in a game is definitely kind of your goal. I think over the course of the game you're going to take at least 1, right? So I just thought that was important. And yeah, I mean, in terms of like the Red Wings, I think you mentioned it, Drew. Like, you're not going to get too excited. What were the Red Wings? 5-1-1 or 6-1, 6-1, or whatever they were. So 7 games, you're not going to get that excited. Just like you're not going to get that excited when the Jets started off 1-3 after 4 games, and look, now they've won 3 in a row, and they're 4-3. And yeah, it was an intelligent, efficient, whatever superlative you want to use here. And Hellebuck was excellent. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't have to be. He didn't have to steal the game. Nobody's going to say that Hellebuck stole that game. And look at and it was mentioned on the broadcast by both Dan Robertson and Kevin Sawyer. The Red Wings are a fast team, but so are the Jets. And I liked how they rolled their lines, right? Like you still saw, I think, Barron and Kupari, and Gustafsson, I think they were all over around like 9, 10, 11 minutes. And that's what you want to see.
Yeah, the lowest was Kupari, who played 8:49, and then so he got almost 9 minutes worth of ice time, which is again a higher number than you're often used to from the fourth line. But to your point, Ezzy, David Gustafsson was over 11 minutes, 11:23. Of course, he gets over 2 minutes of shorthanded time. Kupari only got 20 seconds shorthanded, and
Gustafsson had a scoring chance in the second period. He was looking good. He almost scored his second goal in as many games, right? So. Look, they're flying. Like Scheifele, Connor, and Iafallo, obviously, like they that line gets the winning goal, but like that line, it's not like they were dominant or anything like that tonight.
No, they actually got caved. They had that line. I mean, the Scheifele, Connor, Iafallo line got caved in possession wise at 5-on-5. They were only 24%. Corsi 4 possession wise. I think
in the first period they were solid. I think it was the second and third periods where they kind of fell apart a little bit.
Right, which is sort of how the Jets were by and large as a team. They were much better, I would say, in the first period than they were in the second and third. I mean, obviously they're opportunistic in the third period, which we'll get to once we jump into the Betway game recap here in a couple of minutes. But opportunistic, which is good. But again, even though Detroit was taking it to them, Connor Hellebuck had to be solid. I don't think any of the saves he made, or I can't recall any saves.
He made a couple nice ones in the third period.
Nice ones.
Although it felt like almost the game was already out of Detroit's, even though it was only 3-1,
Mhm.
it felt like the Jets had control of that hockey
There was
game.
the one I was thinking was in the third, Dave. Like
Yeah.
Raymond had at least a couple,
That's
but
right.
it was either DeBrincat or Larkin, I think, got
Yeah.
him the puck,
Well,
and he was alone in front of the net, and Hellebuck made a good save. But a lot of the saves, to your point, Drew, and then I want you to get back in here. But a lot of it was like, get the puck back to the point, get some traffic, and they weren't getting any sticks on it. There weren't a lot of second chances in this game, and that's a testament to Hellebuck, his rebound control, and also the defense in front of him. Like I thought overall, I don't think, again, we're not saying the Jets played a perfect game.
No.
But the reality is you get the lead and you protect the lead. That's what the Jets looked in control of this game. It didn't really, even though, and that happens sometimes, right? Even though, what were the shots? Did we say 19-6 for the Red Wings in the third period?
In the third period. Yeah.
Sometimes, a team will get a lot of shots, but you still think that the team that's getting outshot is in control. And that's, to me, what I felt like in this game, that the Jets did a great job of holding on to that lead.
Well, for a Winnipeg Jets team that people are used to them, having an open house sign in front of the net in the high danger zone, for them to keep the Red Wings to the outside and keep everybody to the outside, is not something that they've traditionally been good at, and they were able to do it tonight against Detroit. Which if Connor Hellebuck is if the shots are coming from the outside or the shots are coming from the point, and Connor Hellebuck is able to see those shots, well, then Connor Hellebuck is usually making those saves. And then if there's no rebounds on top of it, or if the Jets are keeping the traffic away from the front of the net, Dave, then those are all going to be good recipes for the Winnipeg Jets' success.
Like sorry, Dave, just want to say, like, another example that stands out to me in the third period was, Daniel Sprong was kind of juking and jiving in the zone, and then he took a shot from far away, and Hellebuck was in perfect position. Right. So it's like stuff like that. Like, you can have possession, you can have control of the puck, shots on net, everything like that. But to Drew's point, if the shots are coming from 20 feet or 30 feet and there's no traffic in front of them, well, Hellebuck's going to stop those all day long.
Yeah. And again, I think it is a testament to the Jets playing as a team and trying to come back. And we've seen better defensive play from Mark Scheifele this year. Again, Drew, to use your terms from earlier, it is only 7 games into the season, but you have to like what you're seeing from 55 and, just an overall general commitment. I think I even though I know their possession numbers weren't great tonight, I do like Iafallo up on that line with them. I like Appleton better with Adam Lowry. Mason Appleton, of course, on pace for 35 goals.
Like yin and yang, Dave.
Yeah, they do. They just seem to work well together. But look, anyways, I'll save that my Mason Appleton stuff for the Betway game recap. But it's just again, it's one of those. It's a good road win. It's not a perfect road win. We're not going to sit there and say being not possessing the puck and being outshot. I don't care if the shots are not high quality, if they're not high danger. You still didn't possess the puck the way you needed to. And again, that's a testament to Detroit. Sometimes people forget that the other team is playing hockey too, and the other teams are good. Detroit isn't a bad team. It's not like it was a bunch of scrubs who are controlling the puck and you couldn't get it off of them.
We don't want no scrubs.
But not only that, Detroit's a good team. Exactly.
That's my go-to karaoke song, by the way.
The point I'm going to make quickly
really
before Ezzy goes to too hard a segue here.
If I'm at the Limelight
in St.
Vital, it's such a good karaoke song. For me,
I haven't seen that, and I'm sort of regretful that I haven't seen that. I think that seems like something that everybody here would want to see one day. Is Ezzy up on stage belting out some scrubs?
TLC is a great group. I mean, that record, No Scrubs. That was just so inspirational, and for so many young vulnerable. Yeah, it was a great song for a lot of young girls.
Wow.
And Ezzy.
Can we get into the Betway game recap now? Because
I was in the middle of a thought, but forget my thought.
There was another
the Betway game recap.
Alrighty, let's get into the Betway game
Creep.
recap.
Creep was the other good song that they had. Right?
Okay. Do you sing that one too?
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go.
Hey, Drew, you brought it up. You were the one that started singing No Scrubs.
I didn't really expect that you used it as your go-to karaoke song. That was not where I thought this conversation was going to pivot to.
I did it once at a work retreat in Falcon Lake. So it's not really, I should clarify that. It's not my go-to karaoke song. I did it once at karaoke. I love TLC. That's basically what I'm saying here, boys.
Okay. Well, thank you for
I will say,
clarifying
hold on,
that.
because I was talking about this movie the other day.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you should watch The Other Guys. Very good movie. And there's a lot of very funny TLC references in the movie The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. So it's a bit of an unheralded one, but if you're
Lucky
looking for
Mark.
if you're looking for something stupid to laugh at other than this show, then maybe watch that as well.
Well, hopefully that Ezzy doesn't have a left eye Lopez in his life to burn his house down. That would be bad for everyone. But we do call Ezzy Bad Moon every now and then.
Oh Lord, let's
I don't
go.
get that one.
Left eye Lopez.
No, I
burnt
know,
down
I know, but what's the bad moon thing?
She burnt down Andre Bad Moon Rison, his house. The guy who used to play for the
Oh.
Cleveland Browns. He
Okay.
was a wide receiver for the
Okay.
Browns and I think the Atlanta Falcons back in the day. And that was his, that was his nickname. I don't know, that was
It's a good nickname.
what he was called. Well, yes, exactly. Alrighty, Betway game recap brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. This show.
Well, it's appropriate that we just got a Star Wars reference, considering it was Star Wars night in Detroit.
Yes, there you go. That was Star Wars night in Detroit. Interesting start to the game, as we talked about. The Jets get two very early power plays, one at the 11-second mark, high sticking to David Perron. Normally a Jets killer, didn't really have much of an impact on tonight's game. And then, just a minute or so after that one expired, a minute and a half after it expired, Justin Hall gets a tripping penalty. So the Jets get two early power plays. They're not able to capitalize on them, but it certainly is not typically how a game would begin, getting two power plays within the first 5 minutes. The Jets do capitalize first a little bit later in the first period. Nikolai Ehlers, his first of the season. He is off the schneid officially. Assist to Cole Perfetti and Dylan Samberg. You love the vision showed by Perfetti here in finding Ehlers. You love the quick release by Nick Ehlers to beat James Reimer. But I also love Dylan Samberg's aggressiveness in pinching down from the blue line to keep the puck in and then feed it to Perfetti down low as that keeps the whole play going.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, I mean, look, like there was some good pressure, some good zone time there from the Jets' second line.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only a matter of time, right? Like I don't think many people expected Ehlers to take 7 games to get his first goal of the year, but maybe because he had the neck spasms, and not maybe it was probably because of that. He didn't play in any preseason games. So that's maybe part of the reason, at least, for his slow offensive start. But yeah, just a nice spin around shot. And you're right. I mean, it's a nice vision by Perfetti, and it's a little bit surprising. Got to give our boy Garrett Hole a shout out here. Like, it was surprising that Perfetti didn't play more as that game went on. Maybe, part of it is protecting a lead. That's maybe why associate coach Scott Arneal wasn't keeping him on the ice. But if you look at the even strength expected goals for, I think Perfetti led the Jets, did he not? Or he was up there. But yeah, nice shot by Ehlers, and good for him to finally get that first goal of the year.
Yeah, definitely needed a really impressive shift, Dave, from Perfetti. I mean, he gets the assist, but he had the puck. He was almost in control of that shift. Very noticeable. Even before the Ehlers goal, he had a scoring chance on this one. That's what you want to see from Cole Perfetti. He seems like to me, he doesn't seem like he's sort of just a kid out there anymore. I think he's beginning to sort of grow into the role. And as a result, I find that he's a player who's playing with increased confidence. You're on mute.
And I was tweeting things out. I was being all respectful of Ez, and sure enough, I was muted. Oh, well. Yeah. Anyways, what I was going to say is we're seeing that vision of Cole Perfetti that, and the comfort. And I think that's a big thing for him, is just getting more and more comfortable. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of hockey, right, in the NHL. And so now he's getting that comfortability with his line mates. And again, we didn't see them as a trio in training camp because, as he just touched on, Nikolai Ehlers had to deal with those neck spasms, which precluded him from playing any preseason games. And as a result, you don't have that necessarily, even if, Vlad Nemesnikov and Ehlers worked well together. That was last year. That was a long time ago. So you have to kind of get that back a little bit. It doesn't just instantly return. And now that they're getting the repetitions, both in practice and during games, you're starting to see a little bit more of that. But again, with Cole Perfetti, You're right, Drew. And especially along the wall, right? He's got that comfort. He's going in against big guys. He's getting the puck, and then he's making time and space for himself. And then he's using that elite. It's the only word you can use to describe Cole Perfetti's vision, Ezzy. Although I've never done a vision test on him to know for certain that he's actually got elite vision. But the fact is, I think it's 2014, isn't it? Or 2012 or whatever it is. But regardless,
2023, Dave.
Whatever. I think so. But I think that was a conversation from last year. But regardless, his abilities. I mean, look, we talked about it last game. The Jets could have scored a few more goals if they were able to finish off the chances he used to set up his teammates. So to me, Cole Perfetti is again, you can lament him not playing center, even though they gave him that 3-game audition and obviously the preseason as well. But regardless, right now he's a winger and he's excelling. He's giving his line mates opportunities. And again, that line has looked really good, even though, like, as he said, they didn't play a ton. They didn't get a lot of as many minutes as you might have thought they might. But together, collectively, it's looked pretty good so far.
And Nemesnikov has been really good up the middle. Like, I would rather see Perfetti up the middle right now. Not that Rick Bowness or Scott or Neil care, but Nemesnikov has been really good, right? Like, we saw that. We saw that he had a good scoring chance. I forget if it was the second or the third. I think it was when Nemesnikov was out there with Scheifele and Connor. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there was a partial change. So Nemesnikov was out there and he kind of just slowed the play down. And then I think it was Scheifele that had a scoring chance, or Connor had a scoring chance. But I mean, Nemesnikov's just that reliable player. I mean, you just know that he's going to make very few mistakes out there. And yeah, he fits really nicely between Ehlers and Perfetti.
Yeah, and they have fit well together, and they were the best line for the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's game, in my estimation. They certainly had the most possession out of any line of the Winnipeg Jets. It seems like that line is beginning to get some chemistry and is beginning to sort of find their way moving forward, which of course is huge for the Winnipeg Jets. It didn't take them long to make it 2-0, the Winnipeg Jets. That is 1 minute and 2 seconds later. It's Kyle Connor, the Michigan man, scoring in Michigan. And that, of course, means only one thing.
The Seagram shot of the game.
There's been better shots by Kyle Connor, but given that he's the local boy playing in front of the hometown crowd, I figure that you can double up on the honor and give him the Seagram's shot of the game. Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Kyle Connor getting his 5th of the season assist to Josh Morrissey, and it's not the prettiest play. It's a fortuitous bounce, no question about it, but Kyle Connor doesn't have to apologize for that, given the number of missed opportunities he's had already this year. He's got 5 goals. He really could very easily have more, it seems like. And this one ends up right on his stick in a very prime scoring opportunity, and he makes no mistake on it as he wiring it past James Reimer.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is not, it's not a highlight reel goal, but it's a goal nonetheless. And it's a shout out to our boy, Dennis Bayak. It's a bang, bang goal. And you talked about Dylan Sandberg's aggressiveness on the first Jets goal, and you got to love Josh Morrissey's aggressiveness, right? He pinches in there, and it's a really nice pass, a centering pass. So yeah, it's our Seagram shot of the game, and it's a key goal because it obviously ends up being the game winner. But yeah, that's what stood out to me. Love the aggressiveness. I think it was Justin Hall who he was the one who passed the puck, rimmed the puck around the boards. I'm not sure I forget who trying to figure it out here on the replay, who the Red Wings forward was there. But yeah, I like how Josh Morrissey was aggressive there, and he deserves, he gets an assist, but he deserves a lot of credit on that goal.
Yeah. It's timely defenseman jumping into the play there. With Morrissey, you sort of expected. It was the Sandberg one on the first goal where it's a little bit less expected. But that's, to me, a sign of a player in Dylan Sandberg, again, getting more and more comfortable in their role, being able to know when to pick their spots, and as a result, maybe finding some. Look, he's not going to, Dylan Sandberg's never going to turn into Erik Karlsson, but he's maybe finding a little bit more comfort on the offensive side of the game, Dave.
Sorry, it was Christian Fischer, Dave, was the forward, and Morrissey passed Christian Fischer and cut off the Justin Hall pass that was rimmed around the boards.
Right. Yeah. And sorry, Drew, I know you want to get back to the first goal, even though we're now talking about the
you can
second
go.
goal.
I meant more. I meant more. I was more still about the second goal, but I was just tangenting as I.
No,
like
I
to.
understand. And look, you do want to see more offense from Dylan Sandberg. You saw him get, I'm going to use this word again today. We'll see how many times I use it. Comfortable playing defensively for this Jets team. But you know that, especially with the need for offense from the defense, that, you're going to need to see Dylan Sandberg show a little more offense into his game. And I think as he's gotten more comfortable and more established and feels like, remember, last year he had to deal with the uncertainty of, am I coming out of the lineup? Am I playing a role? Am I in this shift with Logan Stanley gets in, then I go in and Logan Stanley gets in? Well, there's no question. Nobody's saying is Dylan Sandberg coming out of the lineup anytime soon. So Dylan Sandberg is, again, feeling a lot more comfortable now that he has an established or somewhat established role here on the Winnipeg Jets. So yeah, Drew, I think you're definitely going to see more instances where he feels like, okay, I can take a little bit more ownership, a little more risk, and there's more trust in both himself and in his teammates. And so that's, I think, a positive. And then, getting to this goal, which as he already broke down, so I'm not going to do that again. But the one thing I'll say, Kyle Connor was flying for the most part tonight, but you like to see him get that time and space, right? Because he can score without time and space. But when he finds some soft ice, as you touched on, it's problematic for a goaltender with a guy who's got a lethal shot like Kyle Connor does. And he scores his 5th goal in 7 games. I mean, last year, remember, he got 2 goals in 18, was it? For the beginning of the season. Yeah. So he's already got 5 in 7. We're talking about a guy who's on pace, as we like to joke around here. He's already on pace for 60, as he. So whatever our over-under was, Drew, I don't know if we did an over-under for goals for Kyle Connor. Did we?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either. But if we did, I'll go back and look. And if we did, then we'll see.
We actually did, because I think Drew looked at.
We did over-under for shooting percentage.
Yeah. It was on shooting percentage.
Yeah.
I don't like to just go with the regular when we do the over-under.
We do some specials.
I got to dig deep to find some good ones to keep you guys on your toes.
Dave just mentioned he's joking in terms of, being on pace for 60. I mean, no, he is on pace for 60, but the reality is anybody going to be surprised if Kyle Connor scores 60 goals? You shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, of course not. You shouldn't be given the talent
that we've 47 a couple years ago. Yeah, I mean, like 60 is definitely in the realm of possibility.
Plausible. Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely plausible. 2-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes, so a good road period for the visitors. The Red Wings get on the board early in the second period, though. Lucas Raymond, he gets his 2nd of the season. Assist to Dylan Larkin and Moritz Seider. Those are some of the big names you would expect from the Red Wings to help them get on the board. And they do that, beating Connor Hellebuck even strength on this goal with 3:18 into the second, Ezzy.
Yeah, and we talked about how lethal that line has been. I mean, this is a pretty basic goal, right? Like, it's a shot, rebound, pardon me, Raymond puts it in. And we talked about Lucas Raymond. I thought he was probably the Red Wings' best forward tonight. He obviously had the amazing rookie year. But yeah, I mean, like, the Red Wings, you knew they were going to come out with a solid pushback. And there's not much more to break down here, right? Like, yeah, it's a rebound given up by Hellebuck. But really, like I don't know how much better he could have controlled that rebound. So, it gave them some life at that point, and they definitely had some momentum. But as we know, they weren't able to follow up on that, and that was the only goal they got. But yeah, that was just that was a goal scorer's goal. Lucas Raymond goes to the net. He's got great hands. And like I said, I thought he was one of the best forwards tonight. And when you can shut down DeBrincat and Larkin, I mean, that's let's be honest here. Like, I mean, the Red Wings, like, I think JT Compher, bringing him back. Dave talked about the Michigan connection there. Like, I think Andrew Kopp has been really good, but I still think the Achilles heel of this team is goaltending, and the fact that this is still, even though the defense is much better than it has been in previous years, it's still not mobile enough. Like, it's kind of a little bit on the kind of aging, slower end. But yeah, on that goal, I mean, that was, it was a rebound goal. We've seen that goal, I think, 1 million times in hockey.
Well, and you got to give them credit, right? Because Dylan Larkin takes a shot and Raymond is taking away Connor Hellebuck's eyes. So Hellebuck's trying to be in position, and he is. And the only thing you'd say on the Jets part is, I think it was DeMello and Morrissey, and you've got to be a little more cognizant of the fact that nobody's taking the man in front. And that's one of the defensemen has to have him, because otherwise he's alone in front of Connor Hellebuck. And if he screens him and causes the goal, that's a win for the Red Wings. Or if he's able to collect his rebound and deposit it into the back of the net like he did, that's also a win for the Red Wings. So you want to see Morrissey or DeMello clear him out of the front. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like it's a great shot by Dylan Larkin, which is the intention is either to get it on net just to either score with the screen or to create a rebound. So the Red Wings were coming on and you could feel it, right? The Jets were trying to stay up with them and they were, but you also know Detroit is feeling really good about their game. And sometimes you got to take that into account when a team is feeling not unbeatable, but like pretty, like they hadn't lost in regulation in Detroit yet. They were feeling good. They'd played, what was their preseason? And I know preseason isn't always indicative of what your regular season is going to look like, but I think similar to the Senators, I know the Senators were like 6-1. I think Detroit maybe was 5-0. They had a really good preseason, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they had a strong preseason and they continued it because look, they're coming into today's game. They're second in the Atlantic Division. And as Drew touched on, they're a team that's scoring a lot of goals. But as he said this while we were watching the game, he said, this Detroit team is going to score a lot of goals. But until they solve their goaltending issues, they're going to also give up a lot of goals.
And I mean, that's Captain Obvious, right? I think.
No, it was a very astute assessment. Don't undersell yourself, Ezzy.
No, but I think a lot of people know that, right? Like, I think, look, in that division, in the Atlantic Division, Detroit, Buffalo, and Ottawa, everybody's been looking at those teams for years now and all of the amazing prospects that they've put together. But you look at Ottawa, and I'll take Ottawa's defense any day of the week and their goaltending, even though Eunice Corpusalo definitely has had, his hiccups so far this season. And nothing against James Reimer. Like, he's a career backup. But it's more so Ville Husso. I don't like he's been good so far this year. And we'll give him more of some more runway here. We'll give him a little bit more time, but I just think, especially in that division, I just don't know if the improvements that they've made in goal and on defense are enough. They're going to score goals for sure, and we've already seen that this year with DeBrincat and Larkin and Raymond. They're going to get their goals, but I think you're going to see a lot of high-scoring games this year in regards to Detroit.
So 2-1 for the Jets early in the second period, and Detroit, as we've touched on, began to come on in the course of the game, and the Jets did a very admirable job keeping the high danger chances to a minimum, keeping most things to the outside, definitely losing the possession battle over the final two periods, losing it relatively handily at that, but for the most part, again, keeping things to the outside, particularly in the third period. And then the Jets are opportunistic in that third period. Despite being hemmed into their zone on more than one occasion, they transition up the ice in a fantastic way, starts in their own zone. Adam Lowry is the one who headmans the puck. He heads it to Niederreiter. They all come into the zone with speed. They all being Niederreiter, Lowry, and Appleton. Niederreiter to Lowry to Appleton. A tic-tac-toe passing play with Mason Appleton getting his third of the season. This coming at the 10:26 mark of the third period. Appleton already with 3. Lowry getting the assist. Niederreiter also getting the assist. And, Mason Appleton, I will give credit where credit is due. He's a player that, by and large, has underwhelmed me, the last couple of years, with the exception of a few fleeting glimpses here and there. Hasn't been very impressive in my books, but he's definitely playing some good hockey right now. And, for his sake, and of course, the sake of the Winnipeg Jets, you would hope that that's going to continue. He's playing some decent hockey. He's playing some confident hockey. And that's a confident play by all three of those guys to transition the puck as well as they did to make it 3-1 for the Jets, Ezzy.
Yeah, you mentioned transition and speed, and Niederreiter brings a lot of speed there. And you're right. I mean, Mason Appleton, what did he have? 5 goals last year? He was an excellent penalty killer all year long. The Jets had an excellent penalty kill. Adam Lowry is obviously a big part of that as well, as are other players. But what you're saying, Drew, is there was a lot to be desired when it came to offense. Mm-hmm. And so far, and again, a big asterisk here, it's only 7 games into the season.
Don't you ruin it, Ezzy.
But hey, you have to give credit where credit is due. And Appleton has been good. We talked about it on last Saturday's show that we thought, he, as Dave mentioned, you put Lowry and Appleton together, they work well together. Right. And I think most people would agree Alex Iafallo has been a better fit on the top line with Scheifele and Connor than Appleton was.
Yeah.
Not saying anything against Appleton. He's just more of he's better suited in a kind of bottom six, middle six role, right? So, that was a great tic-tac-toe passing play between Niederreiter, Lowry, and Appleton. And I believe it was the Red Wings, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Red Wings' third line out there, which was Veleno, Perron, and Sprong. And I think they were, you could tell they were towards, if I remember correctly, they were tired, and it was towards the end of a shift. And so they had numbers, but it was just, a really nice passing play, a nice finish by Appleton. And at that point, I mean, that was a huge goal. I mean, because they were hanging on a little bit, even though we talked about it. The Red Wings were peppering Hellebuck. A lot of those were kind of, the softer, they weren't high danger, low danger, if you want to call it that. But that was a key goal because I think, at that point in the game, there wasn't really the way Hellebuck was playing. And I don't think a lot of people thought the Red Wings were going to tie that game up with just over 10 minutes left or 9.5 minutes, whatever there was left.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, Drew, to me, it's just a natural fit for Appleton to be on that third line. First of all, again, because I think he plays exceptionally well with Adam Lowry, but I also think you keep him fresh for the PK. And I think that for him, a little bit of a reduction in his minutes, not trying to keep up with the horses that are Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, is going to allow him, because you need him on the PK. Look, I mean, you're going up against the best PP in the NHL. You need a guy who's fresh and who's ready to go. And I think Mason Appleton, is better when he has those legs, having reduced role, reduced minutes, whatever you want to call it. And again, if you can get, what have we always talked about on this show ad nauseum for a million years, is the fact that the Jets need secondary scoring and third line scoring and fourth line scoring. And we didn't mention it, but when the Jets were up 2-0, David Gustafsson actually had a pretty good chance to actually make it a 3-0 game. So there were chances by that fourth line. But the fact is, you need those third line goals. And for Mason Appleton to already have 3, look, we're not, Ezzy and I are joking around here saying he's going to be 50 or 35 or whatever. But if Mason Appleton can get that 12-15 range, I'm not saying he's getting to 20, but if he can get there, I mean, that is a very big benefit. Adam Lowry doesn't have a goal yet, but he's got 4 assists, I think, on the season. So if that line is contributing to you offensively and they're not hurting, obviously, you defensively, it's a big thing for his Winnipeg Jets club, which, again, we talked about the depth of this organization now at a forward thing. They're not as lethal individually, offensively, but the sum of their parts, I think, are potentially going to be more significant. And we're seeing the result of that early in the season when a guy like Mason Appleton has 3 goals.
The Jets wrap it with an empty net goal. It's Niederreiter, his first of the season. Also, full credit again to Mason Appleton, who makes a strong defensive play and carries the puck out of the Jets' own zone, and then makes a very nice play, flipping it over to Niederreiter, who was relatively uncovered at that point, and able to put it into the empty net. So again, strong defensive play. Really was the story of the Winnipeg Jets game by and large, keeping the Red Wings to the outside and being in a good position defensively. And you did see it like that as well, show itself on the empty net goal. Niederreiter getting his first of the year, Ehlers before him getting his first of the year. So a game of firsts for a couple of the Winnipeg Jets goal scorers. 4-1 for the Jets, victorious tonight in Detroit. A good victory for the Jets, their 3rd win in a row, letting them feel good about themselves as they head to Montreal on Saturday to face the Montreal Canadiens on Hockey Night in Canada. Always a good battle when 2 Canadian teams in absolutely not the Forum, but the Bell Center, whatever it's called now. It'll be certainly a raucous environment, undoubtedly, on Saturday night between the Jets and the Montreal Canadiens. When we return on the post-game show, we'll touch on more on tonight's game, touch a little bit about the Mark Chipman interview, which was finally aired in its entirety. Much more on that probably coming up on Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show. And, of course, Tough Duck, hardest hitting comments still to come. Don't go anywhere. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show on a Thursday evening. You're watching it live. Stay with us on our YouTube channel.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
Are you dreaming of your very own backyard rink this winter, but dreading the work involved? Well, stress no longer, because the Rink Guys are here to make it happen. The Rink Guys are Winnipeg's first outdoor skating rink installation and rink maintenance service. The Rink Guys offer free site evaluations and different rink construction options. Plus, they use a custom-sized liner to prevent any damage to your lawn. Lighting packages are also available to help illuminate your rink during those long, dark winter nights. To get your rink started today, visit therinkguys.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Welcome back. Thursday night, the Illegal Curve post-game show. Just here's what's coming up this weekend. Saturday morning, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. back here on our regular location. That is our YouTube channel. Yours truly and Dave M. will bring you coverage of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We'll touch on, of course, the road trip, tonight's game. We'll look ahead to Saturday night in Montreal. We're going to be all over the Winnipeg Jets this coming Saturday with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're giving Ezzy a well-deserved Saturday morning off. Then Saturday night, right around 8:30, 8:45, probably closer to 8:45 because the Hockey Night in Canada games usually start at 10 after 6. It will be the Illegal Curve post-game show. Who will be doing the post-game show? We will find out later. Who's to say who's going to be doing the post-game show? Those details will come as we figure them out ourselves. But there's your Saturday plans. The IC Hockey Show, 9 a.m. Saturday. The IC post-game show, 8:45, thereabouts on Saturday night. It ought to be a fun one.
It's pretty. I got to say, it's pretty nice after we've had some of these bizarre starts, right? Like we've had some late starts, 7:45. When you're talking about the last game versus St. Louis. So I don't mind some of these 6 o'clock Eastern starts, because then you get the post-game show done early. And then, Drew, you can get on to your clubbing scene that you love so much.
That's true. I will be going clubbing. That's very much what I'm planning on doing on Saturday night. That's my usual Saturday night activity. The rave I go to doesn't really start till 2 a.m., so I have a lot of time to prep and things of that nature.
I've been hearing a lot of good things, Drew, about Scandals in the Palladium. So I'm not sure, if you're going to have time, because I know you're going to be at 441 Main and Whiskey Dicks. and a live nightclub and everything like that. But you should definitely check out Scandals on Pembina. I hear it's.
I heard Drew's going to go to Wise Guys on U of M.
Yeah, Dave is the EDM fan among us. So if any of us are going to be hitting up
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat, Drew. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
That is Dave in a nutshell, as you folks well know. So if
Everyone
any of us be going
to yacht club open, and that was the hottest club in Winnipeg.
I do.
Let's not age ourselves any further than we already are. We'll touch on it briefly. So now we've seen. I mean, I assume you guys have watched it as well. We've seen it in its entirety. The Darren Dreger Mark Chipman interview. We saw the short snippet of it on Tuesday. Now we've seen the entirety of it. I guess you know.
If you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it, it is on, of course, illegalcurve.com. So you can always, that anytime you need to see anything Jets related.
Don't go to tsn.ca. Nobody needs to go there. Go to illegalcurve.com.
Exactly right. So you just go to illegalcurve.com. As you all know, that you're home for the latest Winnipeg Jets, Manitoba Moose news and audio and everything else under the sun. So now that we've plugged the website, and now that presumably all of us have seen the interview, just some quick thoughts on it, Dave, before we wrap up, and we'll talk about it probably in more detail on Saturday morning.
Well, I mean, I wasn't terribly surprised by the tone that we heard. I mean, we heard some admissions that the True North organization has made some mistakes, that whether it was, not necessarily focusing right from day one on corporate ticket sales. And again, as a result, they've got a 15% or whatever it is, corporate ticket season ticket base, where most Canadian markets are around the 40% number. I mean, that's a pretty significant situation, which is why Ezzy and I were talking about the fact that you have to give fans credit for stepping up and having as many season tickets as they have. And look, quite frankly, the marketing ploys that they've employed haven't been good. The one before the playoffs was atrocious in so many different ways, and you can pretend it was anything other than that. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
For many years, their ticket people were non-responsive and took their season ticket holders for granted. And I think Mark Chipman tried to express that. And at the end of the day, as I said on the other night, the reality is, and much as again, like I said, I wasn't surprised by the overall sentiment expressed by Mark Chipman, but given what he has invested in this downtown of Winnipeg, he didn't do this to sell the Jets and then focus on having an AHL team in this city. This is all NHL related things, whether it's the investment in the arena, it's the assortment of things that they've invested in terms of the downtown skyscrapers, True North Square, blah, 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 the thing at Portage Place. The fact of the matter is they're doing that with an eye to the future. And part of that future, or always in that future, guys, is going to be having an NHL team. So I thought that he struck the right tone. I think that people overall, the sense I'm getting from Jets fans who watched it for the most part, although one thing I want to correct or get out there because people were like, it should be done by us. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care if it's not done by us. And then people are like, well, why would they talk to you guys? You're super negative. I'm like, I don't think we're anything other than, I think we're fair. I think we're like Fox News boys. We're fair and balanced.
Well, no. Well, first of all, we haven't requested. We haven't requested to talk to Mark Chipman because that's not really the format of our show is not really conducive or I think I know that other local reporters in the market have requested to talk to Mark Chipman and they've been denied. And I think you can figure out who the local beat writers, everybody knows who the local beat writers are. We don't have to name names, right? But look, Mark decided to grant that interview to Darren Dreger. I mean, that's not our call. But when it comes to the actual interview, I think the tone was good. And I thought what stood out to me was he repeatedly said, like, we want to get this right. We're all in. I think were his words when Darren Dreger asked him if he had anything else to say at the end of the interview. But again, they're going to have to figure out how to attract, more corporate support when it comes to season ticket sales, in addition to more individuals buying season tickets, right? Like he said, there's 300 full-time staff at True North, right? And so, they're committed. The team's not going anywhere. I mean, anybody that's talking about relocation at this point is absolutely ridiculous. you have 10 straight years of sellouts, and the ownership group, as you said, is committed to downtown. Not to mention the fact there's deep pockets, a lot deeper than mine, contrary to popular belief, right? So, I mean,
your pockets are inside out.
So, I mean, it's fine. I think I think a lot of people wanted to hear from Mark Chipman, and he spoke to Darren Dreger, and
and he's speaking to Jim.
There weren't any hard guys. Those were some pretty softball questions from Darren Dreger, but that's what you'd expect in this type of interview. He's not going to ask him about that failed marketing campaign. And I agree with you. It was terrible, but that you got to move on from that. And they have to get some of those season ticket holders that decided not to renew, as Mark mentioned. They're going to have to do their best to get those people back. They're also going to have to get back the single ticket buyers as well.
Yeah. And I just want to add on quickly to Ezzy's point. The fact of the matter is, and I think Drew, you might have said this, or maybe Jeff said it when we had him on the show on Saturday. It's not incumbent on us to come up with ways for True North. We're not in the business of marketing tickets, selling tickets. I mean, I do push Moose tickets on folks, but those are for free. We're not charging anything for there. So that I sometimes try and craft some crafty ways. So maybe you could see credit as to why Illegal Curve is able to. I think my sale, I don't want to say anything, folks, but the Moose have told me that my percentage of folks who use my tickets is the highest of anyone. So that's a testament to the people who like the Manuk Moose Minute. But I'm going to say is that this is not our responsibility. We can talk about this issue, but ultimately, and I think that was what I was getting from True North was, and Mark, obviously via Mark Chipman, it's their responsibility to figure this out, to get this resolved, to realize, oh, hey, we should have sold, more to our corporate ticket season base, because there's still some big companies in the city that are no longer buying tickets. Like companies that I know of that, maybe had 40 at one point, now have 0. So the reality is you have to go back to that and reach out, remine old companies that you may have dealt with. And again, that's not our responsibility.
They have to be humble in that, their arrogance, their arrogance costs them. And if they now acknowledge that, then that's going to go a long way for them to figure out how they have to fix those relationships.
And I think Mark Chipman did acknowledge that in that interview. Drew, sorry to cut you off. I think, he did say that, we had 10 years of sellouts, and then there was a pandemic, and now we've lost, 3,000 plus season ticket seats, whatever, right. Season ticket holders, just call it. And we have to find a way to get those people back, right? And
they have
absolutely right. Yeah,
they have to be humble.
There was some arrogance for sure.
There was more than some arrogance. They choked the golden goose, is what they absolutely did. And if they acknowledge that and then they work to remedy that, as a result, then that would be a good starting point for them. But that's absolutely where they need to begin with. They need to begin with increased customer service and a humble attitude, and that'll certainly be the building blocks. Won't be the panacea, but it'll be the building blocks of what they.
And winning is definitely going to help. I mean, the fact that the Jets have won 3 games in a row, it's not going to hurt, right? And I think most people expect the Jets to be a playoff team. I don't think at this point, anybody's necessarily saying the Jets are a Stanley Cup contender. But I think, this team definitely can make the playoffs. And I think, you're right, Drew. I mean, I think, look at the Bombers. They're selling out games, right? Like the economy's bad. Inflation is bad. The Bombers are still selling. And I realize it's not apples and apples here. The Bombers obviously only have, 9 home games as opposed to 41 regular season home games plus playoffs, obviously.
And a disparity in the price, of course.
And yeah, exactly. But I mean, they're still getting support. So
there you go.
You can only use the economy, inflation, pandemic excuse for so long, right?
Well, you have to overcome it. I mean, that's a reality, but you have to find a way to overcome that. It is exactly what you need to do, and that's incumbent on them to do it. It's not incumbent on us. It's not incumbent on anybody else within the media.
Look, what it comes down to, and I saw what they sent the season ticket holders, right? They sent them this flimsy little Adam Lowry apron.
Yeah,
like folks don't want that crap. Don't give them crap that they don't want, they don't need. If you want to give them, again, like I said before, the Predators, and I understand it's different in Winnipeg, it's not one person who has a pair of tickets. It's, 5 groups within that framework. But ultimately, you have to figure out value. You have to give people something of value. You have to change some things up for their entertainment dollars. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. So again, it's multifaceted. It's not going to be solved today or tomorrow. It's going to take this organization to re-engage. Because look, at the end of the day, folks are saying, oh, look, they've still got 9,500. Remember, they had 13,300, whatever the number is. They had 9,000 on the wait list, 22,000 approximately. Now they're back at 9,000. Now, I'm not suggesting that all 9,000 on the wait list would have necessarily bought season tickets, but you have to think some of those 9,000, maybe half, maybe a third, filled this void left by those 13 as they whittled off. So ultimately you lost those, let's say 3,500, and then however many you gained from the 9, but ultimately you don't, as far as we can tell, there's no wait list anymore.
Yeah,
so what
wait list.
Again, so you've got to build it back up. And that's what this organization is going to have to do, whether it's on the ice or off the ice. And again, folks are excited about what they're seeing on the ice. They're seeing a commitment and even the commitment to Scheifele and Hellebuck. And I understand that there were some questions, but that happening in October, like I was watching a preview, it came on my feed October 14th, and they were basically talking about the uncertainty. Yeah. And I'm like, well, fans who are supposed to be spending thousands of dollars on tickets, knowing about that uncertainty doesn't give them the warm and fuzzies as you to throw their money down and be like, sure, I want to sign up for whatever it's going to look like. And we talked about that, right? Sharing with your fans what that vision for your organization is going to be, because they're the ones who support you, who pay the salaries of these players.
And at the end of the day, and yes, of course, this is a business. Hockey is a business. I mean, the Senators just sold for, or not just, but recently sold for $900+ million. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar business, big business. But at the end of the day, it's expensive. And even people who have the means to spend the money, it's expensive, right? Like it's not just the tickets. Like a bottle of Pepsi at Canada Life Center during a Jets game is what, $6? Something or $7. Beers are $10, $11, $12. I don't know exactly what they are, because every time I'm at the game, people just buy me beer.
Yeah,
but
that's them throwing beers at you. There's a difference. They're throwing beers at you.
So I mean, that's part of it. I don't think the Jets are going to all of a sudden, make tickets. It's not going to be $25 to go see a Jets game. But that's another thing that they've got to figure out, how to, as Dave mentioned, how do you add value and how do you make people want to spend their money on going to see the Jets? Winning obviously has a huge part of it, but the in-game experience for a lot of people want to see, they want to see good music and hear good music, and they want to have those fun contests, and they want to see parties at True North Square and stuff like that, which they have been doing, by the way. But there's a lot of factors at play here. But I do believe that the season ticket base is going to rise again. I don't think they're going to get back to 13,000 tomorrow. It's going to take, as you said, Dave, a few years. But I think the Jets are now acknowledging that some of the things that they've done wrong aren't working, and they're going to work on them. So I think that's step one. And there's a lot of work to be done, but I do think that more people, the numbers will start to go up. I think it's safe to say that.
There you go. There's our reaction to the Mark Chipman, Darren Dreger interview from earlier today, available on illegalcurve.com. If you haven't already seen it, go check it out when this show ends. And before we end the show, we of course have to do the following.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Big thank you to our friends at Tough Duck for their sponsorship of the hardest hitting comment here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Big thank you to, of course, all the sponsors for their support of the show. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, The Rink, and The Rink Guys. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Ezzy, who's getting the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment tonight?
It's getting cold out there. Who wants a toque? We're going to give it to Matt Mora. Had some good comments. This was back about 20 minutes ago or so, 25 minutes ago. I noticed Sandberg making really smart decisions every game. He's not perfect. Nobody is. But I think his game gets better every week. I agree. And he played, I think, what was it, just over 20 minutes, 22 minutes, something like that.
Tonight, Sandberg played 14 minutes and 44 seconds.
Okay, I was way off. But I thought it was more than that. But, he was solid, and he got an assist, obviously, a shot on net. But sometimes, a quieter game isn't a bad thing for a defensive defenseman like Dylan Sandberg. So I like that comment, Matt. send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs on X, formerly Twitter, @ICSEG, and send me your mailing info. And Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you directly. And I fell a little bit behind on some of the toques, but I will get those into Tough Duck, and you should receive those, I imagine, sometime early next week.
There you go. Congratulations to Matt. He had another comment earlier in the show that I highlighted. Love the strides. I like how he put strides in quotes there, taking this year in Scheifele's defensive commitment, because you are seeing, certainly thus far, it's early, and let's see if it lasts for 82 games. You certainly are seeing a more committed Mark Scheifele on the defensive side of things, and taking more strides is part of that commitment. So congratulations to Matt for his 2 winning comments in tonight's show. Still only ends up with 1 toque, but the comments, they were definitely appreciated nonetheless. Winnipeg Jets victorious tonight, 4-1 over the Detroit Red Wings. A big win for the Jets, an important victory just to keep the good times rolling. They're now over 500 for the first time this season. A legitimate over 500, 4 wins, 3 losses, not even factoring in any of the OT losses or anything like that. They're next in action on Saturday night in Montreal. We're next in action Saturday morning, 9 a.m. It is the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Then later on Saturday night, the Illegal Curve post-game show after the Jets and the Habs. So just stick with Illegal Curve all day and all night on Saturday. Also on Friday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and all the other days of the week. And
we got Moose games coming up, Drew. Come on.
There you go. Some Moose games. So we'll have a lot of Moose coverage, of
Texas
course, as well.
Texas Stars, Cedar Park, Texas, to be precise.
There you go. The arena
first road
that
trip
Dave
of
built.
the season.
The first road trip of the season.
I just gave away 6 tickets already.
Look at you.
Zinn is going, Disgruntled Wheaties going, Darwin Moore is going. We got a lot of folks who are going to Moose games, which makes my life easier that I'm giving away now, so I'm not scrambling, before the game. Keeping that IC percentage high, boys and girls, for the Illegal Curve Zone. So I appreciate that.
There you go. Crazy Dave's ticket machine left on as per usual. Just email Crazy Dave. His hair is on fire. He's got so many tickets he doesn't know what to do with. Big thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast wherever you may get it, and leave us feedback. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave us comments there. If you're listening to the podcast edition of the show, leave us comments wherever you're getting the podcast from. We always like to know what you guys think of this fine show. We encourage you to support all of our great sponsors. They make this show a possibility. I read out their names before, but you know who they are. They've been longtime sponsors. Their support is appreciated by us, of course, and we appreciate when you support our sponsors. It is a feeling of appreciation all around for everybody.
We had such a good show that Oscar the Grouch is even giving us a shout out.
Wow, Oscar's
he came out of the trash can to say good show, boys.
Thank you, Oscar. We appreciate the compliments from a traditional grouch. You never know when a grouchy guy is going to turn smiley. That's what I tell people all the time, in fact. Big thanks to everyone for joining us. We'll be back Saturday, 9 a.m. IllegalCurve.com, latest on the Jets and the Red Wings. And, of course, it'll have coverage all day tomorrow as the Jets head to Montreal to face the Canadiens. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Big thanks for you for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.